How do I become faster underneath the bar? If this is a question that you're constantly asking yourself, you need to watch this video. Now, in terms of actually developing speed underneath the bar or increasing your speed underneath the bar, there are specific exercises that we can program in order to do this. But I have a feeling that the person asking this question is not necessarily asking that specific question. They actually don't know what it feels like to be fast. So how do we teach that athlete to be fast underneath the bar? So a concept I want to introduce to you is the responsibility triptych. This was introduced to me by Justin Holly, the head coach at Willpower Weightlifting, and it's the idea that you must feel it, and once you can feel it, you've got to be able to repeat it, and once you can repeat it, you're now responsible for holding that to a specific standard. And so if we looked at this in terms of being fast underneath the bar, we are responsible for it once we can repeat it at the drop of a hat. So a really good example of this is someone who could be fast underneath the bar with an empty barbell. So how we would start to actually feel what it's like to be fast underneath the bar is we would remove the bar altogether. We would start with an exercise called the rapid drop down, and this is one I think Leo Isaac is the first person I've heard call it this, so the credit must go to Leo. Initially it is done with no barbell. It is where we start with our hands by our sides, and our goal is to drop into a half squat as quickly as possible. You can use your arms for momentum because this actually helps develop the speed and it helps actually feel what it is like to be fast. And you would do this a number of times. Now, once you've got the feeling of what it is like to be fast into this half squat, you would go into with an empty barbell, preferably a lighter barbell. Because when we're thinking about being fast, we must first do it lighter in order to be able to do it heavier. So we would start with like a 5 kilo bar or a 10 kilo bar and so on. Now, there is no rush for doing this exercise, and if you're a true beginner, I would almost use this exercise as the snatch exercise, as my pulling underneath exercise. And then I would use a bunch of other exercises for developing you as an athlete, be it overhead strength, be it pulling mechanics, things like that. Once you have got this down pat, we would move to a tall snatch. And now a tall snatch is virtually the same exercise, but we're now starting to pull ourselves underneath into the bottom position. Both these exercises are like a bit of a brain fart at first. It feels like there is no way to do it. So a cheeky way to do it is to almost give a little bit more upward momentum on the bar than what we would want as we become more skillful. Now, once you can start performing these exercises and you can start performing them really explosively, it starts to give you a concept, or it starts to give you that feeling that we talked about earlier of what it is like to be fast underneath the bar. So from there, once you've got your head around this feeling of pulling underneath the bar and being fast underneath the bar, you could start working from various positions. You could start with block snatches, hang snatches from the knee. You could start with so many different exercises. There is not one specific one you could work with. And then it becomes around holding yourself to that standard. Remember what we talked about earlier? Feel, repeat, responsible. Now you know what it's like to be fast underneath the bar. That's what needs to be your limiter for the weight. So if that's my new speed, if I get to 40 kilos and the speed drops off, maybe I'm 35 kilos that day. If I get to 60 kilos and the speed drops off, maybe that becomes my limit weight for the day. And then the higher the standard that you hold yourself to, the better and the faster you'll become underneath that barbell. So I hope that makes sense, guys. If you've got any questions, please comment below. If this made sense to you, if this is something that you feel like it helps someone, share it with a friend, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks, guys.